On July 31st, Trump sent this executive order out. It confirmed new tariff rates for many countries after the tariffs were delayed twice since April. The new tariff rates range from about 10 to 41%. The stock market immediately reacted with a drop of 1.6%, one of the largest drops since Trump initially launched the tariffs in April. Because of the obviously complicated nature of trade agreements, a lot of countries are still trying to work out their agreements with the US, and many of the current trade deals are already being criticized. Before going over the agreements, it's important to remember that tariffs are almost always paid for by the consumer. The US has finalized a 15% tariff on imports from the EU. These rates also apply to steel and aluminum that was initially at a 30% tariff. Some US automakers have actually pointed out that they're going to be facing higher tax rates than the EU car makers because of these tariff drops. The EU also agreed to invest about $750 million in energy. Much of the agreement is still very vague, but obviously the tariff rates are much higher than they were a year ago. There's also fragmentation within the EU, with some officials saying the agreement is just capitulating to the US. The US has also finalized a deal with Japan, putting a 50% tariff on imports from them. Japan has also agreed to invest in energy from the US, but there's no defined number. Trump said this would increase US market access to cars, agriculture products, and rice. So Japan's rice trade agreement hasn't changed at all, so I'm not sure how this would affect US rice trades. South Korea similarly has a 15% tariff on all imports. They've also agreed to invest $100 billion in energy products. The US has yet to finalize agreements with Canada or Mexico, arguably the two most important countries to finalize agreements with. In fact, Trump has increased tariffs on Canada to 35% from 25%. He rationalized this by calling a national emergency on fentanyl imports from Canada, which is laughable and idiotic. I've disproved this in multiple other videos at this point. And Mexico has also been given a 90-day extension to make a trade agreement. While I don't necessarily disagree with this, Trump said explicitly he wouldn't be doing it. The finalized trade agreements all include three things, one of which I haven't mentioned yet. They'll have a blanket 15% tariff rate. All countries agreed to invest in US energy, and all these countries also agreed to just blanketly invest money in the US. What does that mean? Who knows? It's undefined completely. I'm not just being facetious. Literally no one knows. It is a legitimate issue that these trade agreements have undefined investments. Japan is investing $550 billion. The EU is investing $600 billion. And South Korea is investing $350 billion. Trump says he expects a 90% profit from these investments, but that doesn't really make any sense. Surely if you're just being given money, you're going to get 100% profit on the money you're being given. That's the math I would do anyway. Regardless, all these countries have different ideas of what this actually means. Japan has spoken about loan and loan guarantees in their investment, which obviously would not lead to any US profit. South Korea seemed to also have the same impression on this. The EU also said hours after they made this agreement that they can't guarantee any of this money will be going to the US. The investments are hypothesized to be given by private investors, so obviously they can't guarantee that they're going to be given the money. So this $1.5 trillion is just complete bullshit. It's just another way for Trump to lie to his supporters about how good a job he's doing, while actually just increasing the expenses for every US consumer. Tangentially related, the BLS just reported a decrease in job growth. The projected job growth for the US in July was expected to be at about 258,000, but we only gained 73,000 jobs. Basically, immediately after the report came out, Trump fired the head of the BLS, saying that the numbers were falsified. Even if we wanted to entertain this ridiculous claim, it's very easy to prove that layoffs are happening right now. Not to mention, Trump created Doge to fire people, so obviously there's going to be layoffs and less job growth because we're consolidating jobs. This is what happens when you hyper aggressively enact these economic policies without thinking about any repercussions.